Nobody look at it from how it's happening from the outside, and now I'm utilizing messaging app in the more human way in order to do. Clearly, the full transparency, clearly somebody will come to do it. But I think, the power then is exactly like the fact that we've already established a lot of different customers, already established kind of a lot of, identities, people that are engaging, people that are reaching, getting used into it. So, would love to have competitor that will help us educate the market on the value and of how you utilize AI and messaging app together. Like that's for sure is going to be much more helpful rather than for now, fighting the battle ourselves.
Hi, my name is Demetri Panici, and I'm a content creator, agency owner, and AI enthusiast. You're listening to the AI Agents Podcast, brought to you by JotForm, and featuring our very own CEO and founder, Ida Tank. This is the show where artificial intelligence meets innovation, productivity, and the tools shaping the future of work. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the AI Agents Podcast. We're really excited today. We're going to be introducing a cool product that is here, and we're here with the co-founder and CEO, Alon, from NOC AI. How you doing, Alon?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for spending the time today. Just want to kind of learn a little bit more about you, your background. Obviously, NOC is a really cool tool, and I actually really like the tagline on the website. I do agree that my traffic deserves more than forms and delayed responses. But just to kind of put it in as succinct of words as possible, what exactly does NOC do, and how did you get into AI in the first place?
That's a fair question. So on a very high level, what NOC does is helping remove friction from pipeline creation.
Nice.
That's the goal, in all the craziness out there today. How do we help kind of if a pipeline needs to be created, leads coming in, how do we help them get as fast as possible into the pipeline if they're fit, and get them deeper into the funnel with the capabilities of NOC, basically.
And how did you get into AI in the first place?
So I get in AI, it's a lot of it related into the fact of, understanding and seeing the power of it. It's not like, when ChatGPT came out, of course, like everybody, started using it, started engaging through it. And there are two things that I saw with it. Is one, which was clear, is the fact of the immediacy. It's kind of made all of us from behavioral perspective, like super exciting how you ask a question, get an answer, things are floating. It's not the, slowness of response that everybody was used to. So that was definitely, super fascinating to see how it's going to impact the behavior of buyers. So that was one that kind of got me excited. But then the other part is, then what's going to be the next thing? Like, okay, it's great. There is a text box and we can chat and we can do things. But now how we can utilize AI to the next level, basically, and not just to be the thing that answer questions, but much more in helping us in the backend, in workflow, in activity, in identifying different things. And then that's what, that's, I think, is much more excited than just a pure answer question type of a thing, which we're all kind of still stuck in a lot of aspects. So, yeah.
And who mainly uses your product? Like what roles and type of companies?
So we are targeting B2B. That's the main focus. And in the B2B crowd, it's mainly, I would say, companies of around 80, 100 employees and above. So really companies that are trying and focusing on building pipeline, on kind of how you qualify better, how you drive engagement better. This is kind of in their mindset, past a bit the beginning of like, just give me meetings, how really I'm starting to build something that is more qualified and growing. That those are kind of the type of companies that we are currently targeting.
Nice. Very cool. And when you say, B2B, obviously that totally makes sense to us. What would you say type of roles specifically, though, kind of like use your product the most, or even replace it? What products types of roles maybe are you replacing or enhancing?
Yeah. And so we are targeting now definitely marketers, demand gen, VP growth, demand, like everything related into demand and growth kind of, or revenue marketing aspect. This is kind of the title. And what we're replacing kind of take me further into what is the solution. Basically, we view the world of creating pipeline related into engagement. End of the day, we believe that, especially with what ChatGPT and Claude and all of those, all the LLM are doing, they're kind of taking the website and the activity in the website, visiting to the website are slowly going down because I can ask and learn a lot about the product and a lot of the solution in LLM. And therefore, the way we view it is how basically we can drive engagement now from anywhere, make it simpler and easier to the user. Doesn't matter if he comes to the website, doesn't matter if he sees a post in LinkedIn or he asks something, the LLM to learn more. So we believe that engagement should really come and being driven from anywhere. And therefore, if you ask me, what are we replacing? It's all of the traditional solutions that are running currently on the website, whether it's the form builder, the chat widget, scheduling that's running on the website, all of solutions that are only focused on how to improve conversion from website. Want to replace all of them with enabling brands and B2B companies to really drive the engagement from anywhere and not just from the site itself.
Okay. And on what kind of are the main issues that you're finding that go-to-market people are having right now?
So we see currently, like I would say, three main challenges that we keep on hearing over and over again. Challenge number one is like I'm getting a lot of brands engaging or reviewing my marketing asset, my website, my post, my YouTube videos, etc. But they're not engaging. They're not filling out forms. They're not kind of taking the next step to reach out to me. Challenge number two that we hear is even if they are filling out my form, still 30 to 40% of them are just not quality and not relevant, but they still waste salespeople time in chasing them and qualifying them and all of that. And a lot of money is being spent on that. And then the third challenge is even if they are relevant and everything is happening, from the first moment they click on a book a demo up until they become a true opportunity, a lot of leads drop. It's taking too much time. Leads just lose interest and lose intent. And this is kind of a challenge we keep on hearing, which the result of it is like increase in our percentage of no-show. People book a meeting, never show up to the meeting, or people show up for the first meeting and doesn't show up to the next one. And they might be amazing qualified, but they're just not kind of taking the next step of really how to become, part of the pipeline or moving into the funnel.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I guess, what primary tools do you kind of help augment, or like what tools do you work through? I know obviously there's a lot of people are doing go-to-market through LinkedIn, WhatsApp, different tools like that. What are you primarily doing? Is it those or others?
So it's a lot of those. Basically, what we are doing is we are utilizing messaging app to be a true way to do engagement over B2B. So the lead, basically, you as a buyer can come pick the messaging app that you are most convenient with, rather than, again, fill out a form or talk to the website chatbot. You come in, Slack is easy for you. Click on Slack, start engaging on Slack. You prefer LinkedIn, go for that. For WhatsApp. So we enable the lead to pick the best channel of where they want to engage through and take it basically from there. So that's kind of the core of it is messaging app. And on top of that, of course, there is an AI and a lot of different layers that are built, but that's the core.
Very cool. And what would you say is the most common tool that people are trying to use right now to do SDR work in GTM that you especially through the messaging platforms you're talking about?
Yeah. So of course, still, unfortunately, people still use email, even though email proved itself like, open rate are low. People don't read email. Spam is being identified. Like it just doesn't work. So, we are definitely seeing the increase in LinkedIn messaging currently. But that's, I believe, is going to get saturated exactly as email because it's at some point people are just abusing it, automating the lead.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the concern that I assume we'll start seeing like people starting ignoring LinkedIn as well, and therefore we look at it as more of that's why we look at messaging app as a whole. I want to offer all the options so everybody can pick whatever works. Every buyer can pick whatever works currently for them, rather than kind of be forced to the channel that the SDR decided, which it's an email or LinkedIn messages. Those are type of a thing. And when we look at our buyers, right, we really see a good mix of what they're using. I mean, some prefer Slack as kind of, that's my business messaging, that's how I want to communicate, that's how I want to engage, where others were seeing, WhatsApp, and we see even Telegram running. Like, you basically started seeing like different types of messaging, each person based on their background, title, or using different things in that part.
No, absolutely, that makes sense. I have a feeling as well that it's going to get saturated too. The specific thing being LinkedIn, and I am curious on how WhatsApp kind of works, because I know that like texting people's like off limits in a lot of countries and stuff. How does it work for WhatsApp? I actually don't know how that works.
So I would say actually what you see in Asia and Latin America, WhatsApp is the main core. So they prefer to do it over WhatsApp. It's easy. Again, the whole messaging, the asynchronic of that, etc. And when we add into that a layer of an AI that can engage with you and identify who you are and kind of all of those aspects, it's turning this kind of WhatsApp into something that is much more of a powerful tool. That's kind of the thing related into that. But in WhatsApp, it's the same thing. I'm clicking, opening up my phone in an app, start chatting, start writing. Doesn't matter if you do it for a friend or you do it for a B2B business. Same idea, same approach.
Mm. And what does your tool kind of do to help out with not only like outreach, but like responses and stuff now, right? Because there's a lot of stages in the process, right? There's like connecting in the first place on LinkedIn, obviously, and then the back and forth type stuff. How does your company help with this?
So what we do basically is that we enable leads to pick the messaging app that they want, click and start chatting. Doesn't matter what they pick, WhatsApp, Slack, LinkedIn, Telegram, iMessage, etc. They pick the channel and they start chatting. What we do is a layer on top of that is we identify who they are, with AI, identify what's their intent, provide them kind of the answer, route them, and let the AI or the human handle them. So we kind of enable all the flavors, right? If it's just AI, handle them, chat, give answers, offer a demo, take them in the right path, or it's an AI who then pass it to the human, because that's like a top of hot lead that now definitely a salesperson should take it and take it to the next step. So the tool enable all of that part, but we operate in an omni-channel. What it means basically is that the lead pick the messaging app they want, sales sits in Slack, get all the messages there, get all the knowledge from the AI, and then communicate only from the Slack. They don't need to monitor all the channel. They don't need to sit on WhatsApp. They basically sit on Slack and just answer everybody. So it's easier for the SDR, remove friction also for the SDR not to connect to another platform, and of course to the lead, because from their perspective it's a much more direct messaging and ongoing communication.
Yeah, what do you feel like is some of the main feedback you've heard from SDRs as you've kind of grown the product? And forgive me if I forgot from earlier, but how long has the product been around?
So company has been around for a year and a half.
Okay.
Been running, and it's funny that you ask about the SDR, because when we talk to a lot of SDR leaders, right, they're concerned my team will be focused on chat and is not going to do the rest of the job, etc. But in reality, most of the SDR, when they feel like, oh, somebody started reaching me, I can communicate with a customer
Sure.
over messaging app, it's becoming easy. It's like I'm on Slack all the time. I can continue the communication there. Like, so you start seeing like all of them jumping and starting to fight who's going to answer the lead first if it's a qualified lead. So we have customers that told us like every time a chat come in, because they know that like 87% of the cases it's going to be a qualified lead, salespeople jump like who's going to be the first one to answer rather than the other way. So we see them, loving it from that part.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. It's interesting, like you just said. They're basically, I mean, especially with mobile tools, right? Like they're always on their, they're always on them. People are always on them, so actually probably it's more convenient. Because email, I mean, I actually do some cold email, so I know some of the struggles with it. With like, it's like who wants to open up their email? I don't know what the difference. It's kind of interesting, even with those cold email platforms, just being like, oh, I don't want to open this up, this Unibox, whatever the heck I have to deal with. I am curious. No, you go.
No, so I'm saying it's exactly that. Like, unfortunately, what have happened and what we've seen when we started is like a lot of go-to-market tools added AI to optimize the current channel, like optimize a phone call, optimize an email that's being sent, like still focusing, optimize my AI chatbot that's running on the website. But those channels are just not delivering. So instead of utilizing AI to take it to the next era, right, and take it to how people want to engage and all the capabilities in the backend that AI can do, it was focusing on doing the optimization. And that's really what we're trying to do in NOC is like change, like saying, people wants to engage in a humanly way, right, which is messaging app. Let's take this approach, move it into the next phase, utilize AI on top of the messaging app, and really take it into the next phase of how we want to do it. And it's exactly that. It's like the chatting, it's everything. And it's also, you see how people respond, right? On an email, you need to think, how do I orchestrate the email? What's the right message that's going to hit the mark? Where in messaging app, where like we all communicate, we all check, personally. So it's a very easy to engage type of a thing, and therefore it's become very natural to kind of use it and communicate over chat. That's what at least we are seeing there.
No, totally. Yeah, totally fair. And how would you say that this product kind of differs from other ones that are out there on the market right now?
I think really like what we're seeing in the market currently is a lot of the focus is still on the AI that's running, like the AI chat that's running on the website. It's like, I need to come to the website, click on something, write on the website, stay on the website, and it's only, end of the day, it's like a form or driving me to book a demo. That's kind of where it stays. Where
Sure.
what we say in NOC is the opposite. Is like, let's move you to the environment that you control, which is your messaging app that you picked. Let's enable you to engage from where you prefer to engage, your LinkedIn post, your YouTube, G2, whenever you want to start a discussion, start it from there. And the last part is really the asynchronous communication. Like it doesn't need to stop in the meeting book. It's kind of how I'm taking it from top of the funnel of learning, moving forward into the funnel, book a demo, continue the engagement after a demo. It's much more widening the funnel and really going deeper into it. And that's, I think, that the deep, the bigger kind of difference there. It's less of how do I get an email to book a demo, but rather how do I get a qualified lead to further down into the pipeline.
Yeah, good point. And getting them down further into the pipeline obviously requires, or it is going to be augmented by what you do, and requires people at a certain extent. But how are you able to even, how does the product necessarily work when it comes to utilizing AI to kind of analyze how the conversation is going and whatnot, right? Because that's always something that people probably have good skepticism about, right? Well, I think it's healthy.
100%. And that's really the power of AI as we see it, right? It's less of, let me ask you less question. Let me ask you, let me make it simple and get the AI to collect, okay, look at all the data set, where the lead came from, what the activity they have done on the website or other marketing asset, what are the questions they're asking the set. So we push all of this data into the AI agent who kind of look and kind of identify intent, and based on the identification and intent, knowing how to handle, you come to support, AI can give you the answer relevant to support, route you into the right path to help you close the ticket. You came for buying, I want to feed you and send you to the right path. Maybe it's to free sign up, maybe it's to help you book a demo, maybe it's to give you more answer, to build the trust, and then bring a salesperson with you to be their co-pilot into that. So we utilize AI much less of just giving you answers, but much more in kind of how in the back end it collect all the different signals, collect all the different elements, and then drive you or push you in the right way where it can help you the most.
Does it do any like contextual research on products and like how they work outside of just your conversation?
So it's definitely looking at all of the enrichment of, it's not just okay, you came from the US, you are from a company with 200 employees. It's actually looking much deeper than that. What's your tech stack? How many people are in your team currently? So kind of collecting all of those elements to say, okay, you are qualified because of all of that part, because of the question that you ask. All of those elements that it keep on collecting during the chat and from learning you outside of the chat, That's what help it to, qualify you and take you into the right path.
Well, I think that kind of begs the question: where do you think people go wrong in regards to enrichment, and why, like maybe even though they feel like they have a good enrichment process, it might be failing?
Yeah, because unfortunately, it's a bit of the enrichment though is all of nothing. Kind of, okay, I have an email now. I want to get like 50 fields on it, where it's not necessarily relevant. You need to look at for each case what is the right data to use, what is the right data to apply, what's the data that's missing to me to make the next decision forward. And that's, I think, what's kind of missing. And again, that's, I think, the power of AI, where it's super strong. Like we see it with Clay, right? We see it with other tools. That's exactly what it is.
Love
Like,
Clay.
how do I use that to kind of get the right data set to take me to the next sentiment, the next signal, the next step, rather than just pour me data, not in real time, that's gonna come and not really gonna help me in making the right decision at the right time. That's basically the.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What are your thoughts on Clay as a product in general? Just as I use Clay, I'm just curious what you think about it.
Okay, we use it as well. Love the solution. Not easy solution. Like it's amazing to see how a not easy solution to use still succeeded to get such traction and such a loyal user base. So
Sure.
they're definitely amazing with how they're doing, and I really think that the strong power of it is the ability to kind of take so many data source, enable it to kind of collect them in one, and then push an output somewhere. And I think really being the facilitator, which I know there are CRM tools that are trying to do that now as well. Like there are a lot of tools that are trying to compete with them, but I think really their ability to consume so many data points, so many input, and then enable it to really orchestrate it in a right way to be able to utilize the data. That's a superpower that they have, which I think that's what the most exciting to me, at least, related into them.
And is it kind of a core thing that you're trying to do? I was just trying to figure out what like the company's ethos is and everything. Are you trying to make it simpler than Clay to do a lot of these types of things? Because for me, I'm a very technical person, right? So Clay is not actually complicated to me, but I get
Fair enough.
like, and this is not an insult to the
Yeah.
masses. It's just like I've been making automations for a long time. But for other people, obviously it's not always easy. So is something that you're trying to do? Just make it easier for people to do these types of things?
So we are, we don't see ourselves competing with Clay in any
Obviously,
shape or
yeah.
sort of way. Yeah, like but yes, the goal is to make it simpler because my audience is marketers. My audience is marketing operation. They're not developers. They're not people who would sit and build like crazy tables in Clay, compare, add in NA10 tools and all of those type of things. So we want to make it simpler to them how they utilize AI, how they utilize data to then, on one hand, get pipeline rolling, but then on the other end, push all the insight, push all of those signals into Clay to take it into the next phase of what they want to do with the data, right? Of the intent of the signals of all the data that collected, how they can use Clay to take it to the next step. And we have customers that exactly like take NOC data, their CRM data, other intent tools out there, push all of it into Clay to build better ABM, ABM list, build indication about who in their list they should go after and they should target for a list to the SDR. Like you can utilize a lot of that knowledge to take it to the next phase when you're, predefining your ICP. All of those aspects can be. There are so many use cases of how you can use this data. So yeah.
Very cool. And what would you say is your favorite part of the product and how it works? What like feature specifically would you say is like, oh wow, I think that's something really cool that we do?
So I think I would say two, but one, the first one is really that we just launched now, is
Okay.
actually how we combine scheduling with all of that aspect.
Mm.
Because scheduling has kind of been a thing, right? It's a calendar. Everybody has a calendar tools. There are so many calendar solution out there. But the thing and the pain that we hear a lot is that I booked a meeting. The meeting is in 3 days. I'm not going to remember why I booked a meeting and who is the vendor and what something piqued my interest when I booked the meeting, but now it's like too much time has passed, so I'm losing intent and then I'm not showing up. So now we've added into this layer of scheduling basically the ability to drive engagement from it. And therefore, it's not staying like, oh, next stage is book a demo. Actually, the demo is just in part of the flow. So what we enable to do is you book the demo, we drive your engagement from it. We'll send you a LinkedIn connection. We'll reach out to you over Slack. We'll ask for an agenda that you want to cover. We push reminder into that. We keep on the engagement up until the meeting happens. So by the time the meeting happens, I may already got some answers, invited more people into the chat. I remember who is this vendor. And what it does, it's helping us reduce the no-show rate to almost nothing. So that's, I think,
That's pretty
number
big.
one. That's, I think, number one that I really like. And I use the opportunity to say that number two is really the qualification capability, because part of the problem that we used to see, right, is an SDR would go into a qualification call. He has a list of 10 questions he need to ask. He will ask the 10 questions, a bit of not answering what you are after. And I think that what we are doing on that part is really the fact of the qualification, is looking at who they are and trying to push and pull all the data related into this lead in from the backend. So then I don't need to ask them how many people in your team, what's your budget, how much you're spending on cloud, because I get all the answer, and then it helped me to move to a much more deeper discussion about the solution rather than the let's get to 10 discovery questions just so I get all my checkbox before I'm showing you anything about the solution or kind of better explaining what I'm there doing. So those are the two things that I really like.
Very cool. And how would you say overall you kind of have seen competitors attempt to do something similar, and maybe where some of the pitfalls are there?
So it's a good question, right? That we get from a lot of investors from time to time, like who
Sure.
can
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, for now, we haven't seen somebody that trying to go into the messaging app. Like, yeah, there are a lot of AI chats that are running and trying to ask questions and all of that. Nobody look at it from how it's happening from the outside and how utilize the messaging app in the more human way in order to do it. Clearly, the full transparency, clearly somebody will come to do it. But I think, the power then is exactly like the fact that we've already established a lot of different customers, already established kind of a lot of identities, people that are engaging, people that are reaching, getting used into it. So would love to have competitor that will help us educate the market on the value and of how you utilize AI and messaging app together. Like that's for sure is going to be much more helpful rather than for now fighting the battle ourselves. But that
Yeah, that's fair. What do you think is some of the other cool like products out there in the I guess go to market AI space, or is there any that you're looking at and going like, wow, that's great? Or is I'm just kind of curious, kind of your take on what's going on in the market.
So that definitely, I mean, I would split it into two. Like one, on a personal level, I think there are few webmail solution. I myself use like Shortwave, but there are other like those that are fully utilizing AI to really save me time and be more productive. Like I can search for email, they build me a template, they identify who is the email came from, like should it go high priority, low priority. So I really like those, these type of tool. Again, I'm using Shortwave, which I really like because it saves me time in communication, which is great. Like, what else do you need, right? Um, and then another, I think another super cool ability is all the text to voice or voice to text kind of. And again, it's a lot of the how it helped me save time, take what I'm asking, what I'm talking about, whether it's on a messaging app, whether it's on an email, correct it grammarly and then push it so it can save time to kind of draw notes, push those type of things. It's definitely a new interesting ability that I believe can help a lot in, again, time saving and becoming more productive on that aspect. And if I'm kind of need to pick really an interesting, right, go-to-market tool, like the bigger go-to-market tool of what they're using with AI, I mean, definitely Clay, is top come to mind as one of those tools that I, for sure using that. I mean, and all the rest of the mix, like I'm a big believer in Claude, using it a lot for a lot of different functionalities. So, yep.
What is that kind of power for your guys as a company, out of curiosity?
In Claude, you mean, or
You
other?
when like how, Claude, you said it powers you. How does it power you? Like in what ways?
So a lot of it, one is text, helping definitely a lot, like taking an email, orchestrating nicely, and coming and and playing and seeing also how to think. Like I'm using Claude on a level now of like even if I'm coming to a negotiation discussion with a customer, trying to test it, how it's going to work, like put into Claude, like behave like my buyer. This is the role, this is the age, this is where you're located. If I'm going to give you this pricing for this type of capability, what was the response? So kind of handling objection before I'm even getting to the stage of getting into the call. This is, for example, a one use case that I've started to use Claude, which have been doing amazing. How it's responding, it's moving away from being a pleaser to really starting objecting me and kind of giving the answer, which that's one example of
Okay.
that. So and then of course content, which it's been amazing to see how it looks and how it help and how it help fix all of those type of things to help you with content creation as well. So
Yeah. Totally. I am curious, by the way, just for those that are unaware, because I tried to get on this earlier, but maybe I can clarify it a little bit more. There's no SMS obviously functionality in your tool, is there?
so there is going to be, we are going to launch very soon iMessage. That's going to be the next phase on that part. Yeah.
Gotcha. And what do you feel like that's going to help unlock, and how would that actually work?
So it's going to be the same thing, like Slack or LinkedIn or WhatsApp. It's just going to be another channel that we started to get some requests. And it really comes down to when you talk to the top salespeople, like they would tell you the way to close the deal is move away from the email and move into the personal, move into connecting over iMessage, texting with a buyer. So I think it's again the whole idea of how I'm breaking the walls of what email create and moving it to be much more of a relationship perspective of a human feeling. So that's what I see, from that angle of how it's going to work. Um, we always have the debate, like, do people want to use iMessage because it's kind of opening for them the phone number, right? And not everybody wants for the B2B provider to have a phone number to reach out to them. So it's definitely kind of the debate. But once we launch it, we're going to see which, we see the impact on Slack and LinkedIn. There, it's a bit of a difference. So it depends on, again, who is the buyer, what's their level inside a company, etc., of what the right behavior and the right messaging that they're going
Yeah,
to.
totally. And this isn't a gotcha or anything. I am curious because I'm actually looking into it for myself. Is there any concerns with like messaging people on like text though, without like, or do you need to have like consent and stuff? Like how does that actually kind of work with
So
out?
yeah, it's a great point. We don't do any outbound with it.
Okay,
Like
got
you
it.
as
Okay,
a,
just wanted to make
I
sure. Yeah.
picked to text with you, and because I picked it, that's the consent aspect of it that will run, and we can do back and forth.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
I wanted to make sure. It's not that I thought you wouldn't. I just I wanted to call that out for the viewers because
amazing.
this is probably something that people don't know is like you can't do that. Like you can't
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I thought it was, it's interesting. Do you know the reason why? I'm not actually quite sure on the reason why. I know that there's laws, but I'm not sure what the justification is because email is fine, but
But
for some reason,
even in email, you need the right to put down subscribe. You need to enable
yeah,
that
that's fair.
type of things to be deleted,
Yeah,
right? So
like you can get charged. People don't realize you can get charged like 50,000 per email or something insane based on U.S. law. Yeah. Okay, so cool. That's good to know. I wanted to kind of clarify how that works, and I think it is smart. The SMS stuff is important for a lot of I know like some companies, a lot of the calendar booking apps added that a little while ago, and it makes it
right.
much easier for people to go, oh shoot, I have a meeting, right?
Yeah, totally. It's, I mean, end of the day, it's a convenience, and that's why we want to enable all the options. So you, as a buyer, pick whatever messaging, pick the method that you want to do it, rather than kind of be forced to go in one channel. So I 100% agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of curiosity as well, what would you say was kind of one of the harder things to get the ball rolling when starting the company, right? Just this is more of a founder question, right? What kind of made it a bit difficult?
So of course, go to market space is not, it's not an easy one. There is so much noise happening in this market, and especially now with AI, so many companies, each one had their own flavor, wrapper on LLM. Like it's, there is so much noise. So one, it's understanding kind of how you stay focused, right? That's a bigger founder type of an aspect. Definitely, it's like how we stay focused with who are we after, what's the problem we are trying to solve, and kind of make sure that we are still keep on track and not being taken to a lot of different directions just because it's a one use case that's interesting, etc. um, so that has definitely been kind of the challenge, is how you keep in focus when there is so much noise happening behind, happening out there. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair point. Just going back to kind of general AI questions to get some of your opinions on the industry. Where do you think companies like yours are going to make a tangible impact on the job market? People stand at a couple different camps. It's going to get rid of jobs. It's going to make a bunch of micro employees, or it's going to make everyone's jobs a lot more chill. Where do you stand? Can be a different category, but that's the three answers I'm getting.
Yeah. So I see it as not something like it's gonna make us, I believe, much more professional in the job. Like the job that are like, I'm only answering the phone and kind of being the operator to send from one to the other, right? Let's say take the SDRs, right? The SDR, all they need to do is ask 10 questions and then book a meeting to the seller. High likely it's, they will need to evolve somewhere. So I don't think it's going to eliminate it, but it's going to make all of us being much more professional because, collecting the data, understanding who is the customer, understanding what they're after, giving them knowledge, like educating them. This is what AI can help in all of those aspects. And now the question is, how do I make myself more trustful, more knowledgeable, more something that can bring value into the customer rather than the pure of, rather than the pure of, sorry, the pure of facilitating kind of just, following checkbox. And that's what I think AI will help. I'm less thinking of, oh, now we don't need any more salespeople or we don't need any more marketers. I think if you're understanding and trying to deepen it, trying to become more knowledgeable, that's what's going to make you much more successful in the AI era.
I totally agree that this is something that really, to me, everyone at the beginning, it seemed like had this opinion like, well, those who don't use AI will be left behind. And then somehow we got to the point where I think some agentic stuff came out and people just freaked out, right? They're just like, oh my gosh. But practically though, I do kind of wonder about one other topic that it will impact your industry, cold calling, right? Or inbound receiving of calls. Do you feel like that'll ever fully get AI automated to some for like first screens, or what do you think about that?
I honestly, on that aspect, I kind of prefer the regulation, right? Because if it's cold calling done by AI, and especially if all the voice imminent that is happening now, I don't want to think that I'm talking to a human on the other side, and then you realize, oh no, it's like a cold calling of somebody is not real from that perspective. So I'm kind of on the part of like, let's keep those distance from that perspective on that part. But I do think that using it on the other end, if I'm like asking to be called, or if I wants to engage in that mechanism, then yeah, for sure, let's utilize AI to help me get faster. Because again, if I need to do a research and I want to learn more about your product, let me learn about a product the way I want to learn. If I prefer to do it over voice, then go for it. Why limit us to kind of the same structure that everything used to be, rather than really keep it open in the channel, in the way of how we want to communicate and learn.
That's totally fair. I would be freaked out if I got told that it was an AI too, so I don't blame you. I genuinely hope we do not do that. That'd be wild. Yeah,
that would be crazy. I mean, even though a lot of creativity things I'm sure will pop up of it, but on the other end, it's like,
yeah, I'll take a hard pass on that, dude. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I'm a big fan of like, it's saving, the reason I ask is that there's people who have, in the HR industry kind of adopted it with pre-screening for interviews.
Interesting.
Yeah, which honestly, this isn't rude. I'm trying not to be rude. HR, the high level HR person that would do like the pre-screening call, they just went through a list of questions and it was just a bunch of if-then logic. So anything that's like just a bunch of if-then logic, I do kind of get. However, that could be stretched a little bit if you kind of like let it be the case in your mind that everything is just, deterministic like that. But I've seen that. So I was wondering that's why I asked the question.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think about it, HR and recruiter is a lot of selling, right? It's like the discovery, if they're a fit, and then kind of, it's an ongoing funnel in that part up until you either sell it or the deal is closed or not, like you hire somebody or not. So.
No, absolutely. And tell me a little bit about what you kind of do for your personal usage of AI. What's your favorite tool that you're using right now? Could obviously just be the Claude, normal list. But what is your favorite tool that maybe someone hasn't heard of, if that's possible? I don't think so.
I guess. I mean, there are crazy amount of tools, right? So definitely utilizing the browser, like all the AI browser. Still debating though, between Comet, Dia, and now I've seen a new one called Strawberry. They're trying to help you do those type of things. So definitely personally use those browser. I'm trying to play with. Still haven't determined how much time it saves me, but that's definitely on a personal level. Do a research of all the hotels that I want to book and what will be the best one closest to the area that I want. Definitely can see I play a part, and I've already utilized some of those. So if I'm looking at the next thing now I'm investigating is exactly those AI browser and how much time they can save me versus the learning function of it and kind of adjusting and configuring it. So yeah.
Nice. What would you say is one thing that you'd like to tell everyone that they should try out in your product in order to just, very short to the point, like this is why you should try a product out using this specific feature?
It's literally, I would say, everybody invited to go to our website. It's noc-ai.com and click on the product and try it. I think that's the best way, because once they would see the experience, they would think, okay, this is what I want for my leads. This is what I want for my buyers to do. This is how I want they need to communicate. And once they do that, then, then I'm happy to talk and show them everything else from that perspective. So I would encourage everybody to just go to the website, click on the connect, pick the channel they want and start engaging, see the experience. And, half of the sell I've already done once they've done that. So it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, is there anything else that you'd, kind of like to close things off? Final thoughts before we kind of end the episode and we tell everyone where to go?
No, I think, great question. And thank you for the time and the discussion. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, no problem. I appreciate you for being on. And just so everyone knows where to check out Alon and everything that he's doing over there, Alon Rosenberg at NOC, make sure to go to NOC-AI.com. That's KNOCK-AI.com. If you liked this episode, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe on YouTube, and also make sure to leave a review and do that on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts, whichever one you want. Same with you, Alon. You want to get that boosted listen time. So with that being said, thank you all so much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Peace.